The betrayal that shattered our family. My mom always took my older brother's side. But when he stole my younger brother's fiancée, our family broke beyond repair. Mom expects my brothers and me to just get over the fact that our cunning older brother, the golden child, snatched away my younger brother's fiancée. I never imagined my family would unravel like this. A year ago, I'd have laughed if someone predicted my elder brother Caleb would do something so awful. Mom always made us believe Caleb was perfect, incapable of error. Yet, as I sit in my apartment, replaying the nightmare from just weeks ago, I can't stop wondering how we got here. It all started with Logan's wedding, or what was supposed to be Logan's wedding. Logan, my younger brother, is the most genuine person I know. He's kind, thoughtful, and would give you the shirt off his back. We were all ecstatic when he proposed to Avery. She seemed to love Logan just as much, intelligent and funny. They were a perfect match. One of those couples you just knew were meant to be. And then there was Caleb. Even now, the details are fuzzy. One week, Logan and Avery were picking flowers and finalizing the guest list. The next, Avery was canceling the wedding. Logan showed up at my door, completely shattered. I can still picture it clearly. His eyes red-rimmed from crying, his face pale. He told me Avery broke up with him, only saying she couldn't go through with it without any explanation. At first, I thought it might be cold feet. Weddings are stressful after all. But then the truth came out. Less than 3 days later, Avery and Caleb, who was supposed to be Logan's best man, appeared at a family BBQ. My mom, Linda, had invited us for family time, and I wanted to check on Logan. I'll never forget Caleb walking into the backyard, holding Avery's hand as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The entire yard fell silent, like someone hit pause on life. I stared at Avery, then at Caleb. "What on earth is this?" I blurted louder than I intended. Caleb, the king of smug smiles, just shrugged. "Avery and I are together now," he announced. Thankfully, Logan wasn't there. But my sister, Riley, dropped the pitcher of lemonade she was pouring, glass shattering on the patio. I couldn't read Mom's expression as she looked at Caleb, but it wasn't shock. It was my first warning sign. Linda hadn't warned anyone, but she instinctively knew this was happening. "You're kidding," I stammered, hoping it was a terrible joke. Avery refused to look at me, her face red with guilt as she stared at the grass. "It's complicated, Mason, but everyone will benefit from this," Caleb said, in that frustratingly casual tone I've detested since we were kids. "Benefit? For who?" I snapped, losing my temper. "What about Logan?" "What? You just stole your brother's fiancé." The word "stole" made Avery wince, but Caleb didn't miss a beat. Their relationship didn't work out. This wasn't planned, he claimed. I cut him off, too furious to even look at him, and stormed away. Riley followed me into the kitchen, trembling. "Did you see, Mom?" she whispered. She said nothing. She seems fine with this. That was the second warning sign. Caleb had always been Mom's favorite. As the eldest, his corporate career and college degree made the family proud. Logan and I, on the other hand, were just... I used to joke we were the family's spare parts, but it didn't feel funny anymore. Later that evening, I called Logan. "Are you aware of Avery and Caleb?" I asked. He wasn't. When I told him, he sounded hollow, not even upset. Silently, of course. "It was Caleb," he said. "It's always Caleb." Consequences were immediate. Riley completely cut off Caleb. He brushed off my attempt to confront him again, claiming I was exaggerating. A few days later, my mom called, her voice eerily calm. "Mason, we need to talk." "About what?" I asked, still fuming about Caleb and Avery. "We're having dinner at the house this weekend, Riley, and you should come. It's time to put this behind." "Us." I thought I'd misheard her. "Move past this." Avery deceived Logan. She broke his heart. "And Caleb," she gently interrupted. "I know it's hard, but Caleb is still your brother. Despite his error, he's happy now. Isn't that the important thing?" I was speechless. My mother, who was supposed to defend us equally, was taking Caleb's side again. When I told Riley about the dinner, she rolled her eyes. "You serious? She's trying to ignore this." "Normal." I didn't disagree. Still, I felt compelled to go. Not for Mom or Caleb, but for Logan. I wanted him to know he still had support. I dreaded what I'd find when I arrived at my parents' house on Saturday. Riley was already there, arms crossed, sitting on the porch. "This is going to be a disaster," she mumbled as I approached. I didn't argue as we entered. Caleb was already at the dining table, smiling as if he hadn't just torn our family apart. Avery was there too, sitting beside him as if she belonged. At the head of the table, Mom Linda was beaming, as if nothing was amiss. "Come sit," she offered cheerfully. "We're going to have a nice family dinner." Riley glanced at me, and I stared back. The tension in the air was so thick, I thought I might suffocate. As soon as I sat down, though, the catastrophe began. Honestly, I didn't want to sit there. I wanted to walk away, flip the table over. Logan wasn't there, so Riley and I had to speak for him. Caleb needed to be called out. What everyone else was too cowardly to say had to be said. Mom Linda stood at the head of the table. A spread of food so spotless it seemed she believed cooking could clean up this catastrophe. She was grinning, radiating joy into the room as if she could make it materialize. "Let's just sit down, eat and talk," Linda said. "I'd rather eat glass," Riley whispered to herself, and I glanced at her. Avery and Caleb were seated at the far end of the table. The sight of them together still made my blood boil. Caleb had one arm languidly thrown over the back of Avery's chair, as if they were on a fricking date. Avery, though, refused to look at Riley or me, her head down, staring at her dish as if the mashed potatoes were the most amazing thing she'd ever seen. "Where's Logan?" I asked, surprised at how piercing my voice sounded. I got one of Linda's stoic, "You're ruining this" expressions. "Logan decided not to come," Riley answered. "Yeah, no kidding. Wonder why," Riley added, crossing her arms. Linda gave her a stern look, but remained silent. She probably knew Riley wouldn't give up. Riley has always been the firecracker among us. Though only 2 years my junior, she's never shied away from speaking her mind, especially when it comes to Caleb. My eyes found Caleb, who was buttering a roll as if he hadn't just set off a nuclear bomb in our family. "So, Caleb," I said, "you're just okay with all of this?" He looked up at me, giving me his angry, calm-down face. God, I hated that look. He'd been giving it to me since we were young, as if he were superior, smarter, older. "What do you mean by this, Mason?" he questioned. "This?" I waved my hand at him and Avery. "Caleb, you took Logan's fiancé. The same Logan who trusted you enough to ask you to be his best man. Are you kidding me?" With a heavy sigh, Caleb put down his butter knife, acting as though I was the unreasonable one. "Look, Mason, Avery and I didn't plan this. I know it's complicated. It just happened. Things just happened." Riley scoffed, leaning forward in her chair. "Is that your justification? You don't just happen to start dating your brother's fiancé?" Caleb winced at Riley's comments, but didn't raise his head. I hoped she would stand up for herself and say something, but she just sat there and let Caleb speak. Finally, displaying his irritation, Caleb ran a hand through his hair. "I won't just sit here and watch the two of you attack us. I've been open and honest with Avery. We're happy together, and don't need your blessing." "Honest?" I fired back. "You believe your treatment of Logan was sincere? You lacked the courage to tell him directly?" Avery had to inform him when she decided to call off the wedding. "That's enough." Linda's voice cut across the table. "Guy, Mama," gave me that familiar scowl of disapproval, the same one she used when I talked back as a child. "We are not going to spend this dinner yelling at each other like children." Riley pushed her dish away. Then maybe Caleb shouldn't have acted like one. "Riley, please," Linda replied in a strained voice. "This isn't beneficial. The reason Caleb and Avery are here is to continue their family's journey. We must all extend forgiveness and move on from this. Forgive and let this go." Unable to believe what I was hearing, I stared at her. "So, you're just okay with this?" I asked slowly. "You're okay with what Caleb did to Logan?" Linda's expression softened, as if she were talking to a young kid who just couldn't comprehend the world. "Life is complex, Mason, despite their mistakes. People should have the opportunity to be happy." Riley's fist slammed on the table. Logan is wretched, Mom. You're behaving as if none of this is important. You're here acting like a hostess, like it's Thanksgiving dinner after Caleb humiliated him. With his chair scraping against the wooden floor, Caleb got to his feet. You know what? I don't have to sit here and have my home attacked. I finished our talk. Sit down, I said in a low, menacing voice that even surprised me. Oh, I was so tired of Caleb walking away from all responsibility and consequences. Logan, you don't get to walk in here with Avery like nothing happened and then act like we're the problem. At last, Avery raised her voice, but it was tremulous and quiet. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Riley and I turned to her. Then why did it? I questioned, my rage mixed with incredulity. Avery seemed to be waiting for approval before speaking as she glanced at Caleb. She inhaled deeply when he remained silent. Caleb and I, we started talking months ago. At first it was innocent, but ... double quotes. He told me things about Logan, things that made me doubt everything. What things? Riley asked. Avery stumbled over her words. He said Logan didn't really love me, that he was just going through the motions because he felt like he had to settle down, ... Caleb ... I froze as everything clicked. For months, Caleb had been sowing doubt in Avery's mind. That was his personality, attractive, cunning, and self-centered. You've got to be kidding me, Riley responded in a disgusted tone. You let Caleb convince you Logan didn't love you? Logan adored you, Avery. Everyone could see it. Avery winced, but Caleb moved in front of her, speaking in a chilly tone. We're not going to sit here and let you two attack Avery. This conversation is over. Fine, I responded as I got to my feet. Then I guess I'll have this conversation with Logan instead. I'm sure he'll love hearing how his own brother was working behind the scenes to sabotage his relationship. Mason, Linda began, but I interrupted her. I turned and left, Riley following closely after me. Logan deserves better than this, Mom. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. As soon as the front door closed behind us, Riley released a breath she'd obviously been holding. Unbelievable. Caleb's not even sorry. He believes his own lies. I didn't respond. What Avery had revealed about Caleb manipulating her emotions had my head spinning. This was no chance romance. For some reason, Linda was ignoring the fact that Caleb had been planning this for months. Riley turned to face me as we got into her car. We have to tell Logan. I know, I replied. But I don't think this ends here, and I was correct. It didn't. Riley's engine hummed through the peaceful ride to Logan's place. She remained silent, and I did too. The identical thought was running through both of our minds. How on earth were we going to explain this to Logan? Avery calling off the wedding was one thing, but knowing Caleb had been deceiving her for months, that seemed like a completely different animal. I kind of thought Logan wouldn't respond when we arrived at his house. Except for the occasional text, he'd remained isolated since the split. However, the door slowly opened, revealing Logan staring at us with black circles under his eyes. He appeared thinner, as if he hadn't eaten. Hey, he said in a low voice. Didn't think I'd see you guys tonight. Can we come in? I asked. After a moment of hesitation, Logan moved aside to allow us to enter. The apartment appeared as worn out as he was. The curtains were drawn. His couch appeared to be his bed these days, and takeout containers were piled on the coffee table. Logan laughed, but without humor, when he saw I was staring. Yeah, I know, it's a mess. Take a seat, he said, sweeping papers from the cushions and pointing to the couch. Logan remained standing, leaning against the wall with his arms folded, while Riley and I sat. He appeared protective, as though he knew we weren't just stopping by. What's up? Finally inquired, his gaze darting between us. Riley didn't hold back. Logan, we need to tell you something about Caleb. Logan stiffened as soon as she spoke Caleb's name. His eyes widened and his jaw tensed. I don't want to talk about him. You need to hear this, I whispered. It's about what really happened with Avery. Her name made Logan cringe. I thought he was going to throw us out, but he sat down in the armchair across from us after letting out a trembling breath. Fine, he replied. Say whatever you came here to say. I didn't mince words. But despite the pain, Logan deserved to know the truth. Avery told us tonight that Caleb had been talking to her for months. He told her things that made her believe you didn't really love her. At first, Logan's expression remained unchanged. He remained motionless as he gazed at me. But then he gently averted his gaze and squeezed his fists against his thighs. I wasn't even positive he had heard me. "So Caleb convinced her to leave me," he whispered. "Manipulated her," Riley said again. "Logan, she played with her head, Logan," she said she thought. "You were just settling for her because Caleb got in her ear." Logan gave a sour laugh, but it was devoid of humor. Of course he did. That's Caleb. He's always been good at taking things that don't belong to him. I was astonished by the hostility in his voice. Logan has consistently maintained our family's composure. If Riley is the firework and I am the middle child, always caught in between, Logan is the quiet anchor. He's not angry, he just becomes depressed. Now, though, he had an angry expression. "He's done this before," Logan stated abruptly, and as he looked at the ground, Riley said, "What do you mean?" Logan's expression darkened as he looked up. "Do you honestly believe that this is the first time Caleb has taken anything that was rightfully mine? Do you recall my senior school soccer tryout?" Logan inquired. I scowled, trying to piece things together. "Yeah, you didn't make the team." "No, I did," Logan said with a sour smile. "Clay persuaded the coach that he would be a better option and that I was unreliable. Even though I made the squad, I was dismissed. It took me years to find out, while Caleb made varsity." "What?" Riley's eyes widened. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because nobody would have believed me," he shrugged, adding, "Caleb has always been the one. The golden boy is Caleb. Caleb is impervious to error." After hearing this, something clicked in my mind. Caleb had been our mother's world for years, charming, ambitious, and self-assured. Everything an ideal oldest son should be. However, now that the cracks were showing, it became clear that he didn't just take things because he wanted them. He did it to win, to show that he was superior to the rest of us. "Logan," I continued slowly, "what do you suppose caused him to do this to Avery now?" Logan gave me a dumbfounded look, because he could. "I've always made Caleb envious. It's not over. Does a good job of hiding it, like he's taken everything else. I believe he decided to take away Avery after realizing how happy I was with her." Logan was right. This wasn't just about Avery. It was about Caleb needing to repeatedly demonstrate that he was the best, regardless of who he injured along the way. There was a brief period of silence. Riley appeared to want to punch a wall, and I felt sick to my stomach. Logan wiped his face. "You know what's the worst? I cherished her. I cherished her dearly. I also had faith in Caleb." "I'm sorry," I muttered, since I had no idea what else to say, and it seemed so hollow. "You don't have to apologize to me," Logan said, shaking his head. "Please let me know what you plan to do about it." Riley grimaced. "What are you saying?" Logan's voice was harsh. "I mean, Caleb isn't done. You think he's simply going to stop after this? Mom is already on his side. I'm the bad one for not letting it go, but he'll keep making things up until the rest of the family forgives him, acts in that manner." Riley and I looked at each other, and Logan was right. Hate to say it, but our mother was already setting the stage for us to move past this. And if we didn't do something, Caleb would win, as he usually does. "Mom needs to see what's going on, so we need to talk to her," Riley stated. "She cannot continue to stand up for him. Good luck with that." Logan snorted. "Until the day she passes away, Mom will stand up for Caleb. Your time is being wasted." Linda had always made excuses for Caleb, perhaps because he was the firstborn or because he reminded her of herself, but whatever the reason, she had been ignoring Caleb's behavior for years, and it had finally come to this point. I didn't want to believe that, but I knew deep down that Logan wasn't wrong. One thing was clear to me as I watched my younger brother sit in his damaged apartment. Caleb was not going to get away with this time. This time, I firmly stated, we're not going to let him win. After giving me a long look, Logan nodded. "Good," he said, "because I'm tired of being Caleb's punching bag." I sensed a change in myself as Riley and I left Logan's apartment that evening. I was done being kind, done letting Caleb bully everyone while Linda applauded him. It was time to face Caleb head-on. This time, I wasn't going to hold back. Riley and I quickly decided what needed to happen next. Caleb needed to be confronted, really confronted, not just about Avery. This was about everything Caleb had been doing for years, including manipulating people, twisting circumstances, and making himself appear like the ideal son while ignoring the rest of us. Logan was correct. Caleb wouldn't stop unless he was forced to. We were going to force him. When Riley and I unexpectedly arrived at our parents' house the following morning, Linda opened the door looking astonished to see us, and as though she had been up all night worrying. To be honest, good. Her grin was forced. "Mason, Riley," she continued, "what are you doing here?" "We need to talk to Caleb," I said, as I walked into the living room, sweeping past her. Linda groaned deeply as she shut the door, and Riley trailed behind me. "This again? Can't you just—" she asked, her voice already worn out. Riley interrupted, turning to stare at her. "No, Mom, we can't. Is Caleb present?" I inquired. "Upstairs? But I don't know why you," Linda said after hesitating, then nodded, murmured as I made my way up the stairs. "Mason, don't start anything." Linda called after me. Linda had let Caleb off the hook for too long, and it was time for someone to do what she wouldn't do, so I disregarded her. I didn't care what Linda thought at this point. Caleb was sitting on his bed with his laptop open when Riley and I marched up the stairs and down the hallway to his old bedroom. The door was half open, so we didn't bother knocking, and I pushed it open. His face twisted into a mixture of smugness and annoyance when he looked up and saw us. "To whom am I due this distinction here? To lecture me some more?" Caleb replied, leaning back against the wall and shutting his laptop. I crossed my arms. "We're here for answers, not to lecture you." "I've already explained everything," Caleb said, rolling his eyes. "I didn't plan this with Avery. It just happened." "Why aren't you all able to accept that and move on?" "Because it's a lie," Riley said. "Avery told us that you had been whispering in her ear for months. You were ruining her relationship with Logan the entire time, Caleb." Even as Caleb's face reddened, his arrogant look persisted. "So what? Relationships are always ending. Logan's inability to retain her is not my fault. You think this is a game, don't you?" said, stiffening my fists at my sides as I walked toward him. "You're not even sorry for what you did."
"Why would—"
Logan was never right for Avery," Caleb retorted. "I was kind to her. You took her," Riley screamed. "You can't stand seeing other people happy, so you tricked her into leaving Logan." "Watch it, Riley," Caleb said as he got to his feet, his face changing to a more icy one. "You have no idea what you're discussing." "Oh, we know precisely what we're talking about, Caleb," I answered softly. "You've been doing this for years, stealing what belongs to Logan, undermining him and claiming to be the golden child while the rest of us suffer as a result." "You're being dramatic," Caleb grinned. "Am I?" I shot back. "Logan told us about the soccer team, how you persuaded the coach to cut him so you could take his place. Does that sound familiar?" For a brief moment, Caleb's grin wavered, but he immediately got back to it. "That was years ago. Who gives a damn? Logan is concerned. Just like you ruined this, you ruined that for him," Riley yelled. Caleb chuckled, but it was a mocking, bitter laugh. "You guys are unbelievable," he said. "Do you believe that I am the bad guy? Logan is pitiful. He was and always has been. He allows others to walk all over him because he is weak. Avery chose me because I'm superior to him. I didn't steal her." Riley stepped forward and poked a finger at Caleb's chest. "You're not better than anyone, Caleb. Even though I could feel my fury boiling, the only reason you get away with being a manipulator and a liar is because Mom allows it." "Leave Mom out of this," Caleb snarled. "Why?" Riley retorted. "We all know you're her favorite. No matter what you do, she will stand up for you." Linda suddenly materialized in the doorway. "What's happening in here?" she demanded with a strong voice. Riley turned to stare at her. "Ask your perfect son," she added, "that he recently confessed to coercing Avery into leaving Logan." Linda turned to face Caleb as her face went white. Is that true?" "Of course not," Caleb answered softly, his voice flowing. "I'm there, misrepresenting what I said. I didn't do it." "You claim that Avery picked you because you're superior to Logan?" Riley yelled. Linda's expression was unreadable as she turned to face Caleb, who gave her a wide, naive look, as he often did when he had to get out of trouble. "Come on, Mom. You are familiar with me? I would never act in such a manner. For a while I hoped that Linda would finally recognize Caleb for who he truly was, but she hesitated, and I could see the doubt in her eyes. Then, as usual, she folded. The voice was tense as she replied, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. We're not going to solve anything by yelling. Riley laughed bitterly. It's unbelievable. He continued to protect him. I'm not defending anyone, Linda responded. I'm not going to let this family fall apart over a relationship that didn't work out. This family already is falling apart, I whispered quietly. And it's because of Caleb. Caleb looked bored and shrugged, saying, Cry about it. I finished our talk. No, we're done with you, Riley snapped. What is the intended meaning of that? Caleb narrowed his brows and asked. I said Logan's done. It means we're not letting you win this time, Riley continued. Riley is finished. I am too. You're by yourself. You can't just cut me out of the family, Caleb said, looking truly shaken for the first time. Watch us, replied Riley icily. Mom, you can act like Caleb is flawless all you want, but the rest of us aren't playing along anymore, I said, turning to Linda, who appeared stunned. Either. You're with us, or you're with him. You make the decision. Linda gave me a slap-like look. You can't ask me to choose. You simply aren't aware that you've already made your decision. Riley remarked softly. I believe that Caleb recognized that he had finally lost control and pushed himself too far since he didn't say anything as we were leaving. And for once, he didn't have a smug response or a lazy shrug. I was relieved as Riley and I left the house, because although Caleb might not be facing actual repercussions today, he would eventually. People like him usually do, and I wasn't going to be there to catch him when he fell for the first time. After that altercation, we didn't hear from either Caleb or Linda for a few days. To be honest, I believe they were both waiting for us to return, as we always did. Especially with Linda, things in our family had always gone like this. Caleb made a mistake, Mom covered it up. The rest of us had to keep our mouths shut for the sake of keeping the peace. But not this time. You have no idea how long I felt. Like I was screaming into a void, I added, and Logan actually appeared glad when we told him about what had transpired at the home. It's about time, he muttered, shaking his head. Riley and I had made our decision. Linda made several attempts to contact us over the course of the following week, first by phone, and then by text, but each message was the same. Family doesn't behave like this, so we need to communicate. Caleb is your brother, and while I understand your anger, this has gone too far. You don't fully comprehend the story. Let's discuss this over dinner. We chose to ignore her. Riley, Logan, and I were all on the same page for the first time, and it felt liberating. Caleb was no longer our responsibility, so we didn't have to comply if Linda wanted to hold on to him. Caleb wasn't finished, though. Oh no. On a Thursday night, I received a call from an unknown number. I don't typically answer such calls, but for some reason, I decided to answer. Hello?
Listen.
I remained silent for a moment, almost expecting Caleb to knock on my door, but I was still taken aback when I heard his voice. It sounded desperate, not cocky or arrogant. What are you looking for? I asked with a flat voice. Caleb hurriedly continued. I need to talk to you. It's important. Hard pass. His voice trembled. Mason, please. And I was shocked, because Caleb demanded things instead of asking for them, I answered. Against my better judgment, all right. Don't talk on the phone. In an hour, meet me at the depot, please. I didn't want to attend, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling that something wasn't right. The depot was an old diner we used to frequent as kids, and it felt strangely symbolic, as if Caleb was trying to exploit some shared history to guilt me into listening. I didn't recognize Caleb for a moment when I entered the depot an hour later and saw him sitting at a booth in the corner. He had bags under his eyes as if he hadn't slept in days, and his normally flawless hair was unkempt. Caleb, what do you want? I questioned, slipping into the seat across from him. He didn't immediately respond, instead looking down at the table with his fingers tapping nervously. I messed up, he finally stated in a hushed voice. Yeah, no kidding, I said with a sour laugh. No, Mason, I made a huge mistake. I had never seen Caleb this afraid, and there was something about the way he said it that made the hair on the back of my neck rise up. What are you discussing? I inquired after inhaling deeply. Caleb shakily exhaled. I'm in trouble. Bad. He looked up at me, and I saw panic for the first time in his eyes. What sort of issue? With quivering fingers, Caleb ran a hand through his hair. Debt. I owe a lot of people a lot of money, Mason. I made an effort to correct it, but it got out of hand. His voice broke as he trailed off. Avery, ... what are you saying? Feeling sick to my stomach. I think I'd never seen Caleb seem so embarrassed as he looked at me. I needed money, he said. I reasoned that, by getting to know Avery better, I might be able to persuade her to assist me. Her family is wealthy, so I reasoned that perhaps ... you made use of her. Cut in, startled. You used her as leverage because of your debt? Despite his recoil, Caleb said, I didn't intend for it to get this far. Although I didn't anticipate her leaving Logan for me, I was unable to stop it once it got going. Caleb had not simply taken Logan's fiancée because he wanted to win. He had done it out of desperation. He had played with Avery's emotions, ruined Logan's life, and split our family apart in order to hide the catastrophe he had created for himself. I gazed at him, trying to take in what he had just said. Is Mom aware? I quietly inquired. No, and she can't, Caleb said, shaking his head. If she learns, I'm finally able to recognize you for who you truly are, I responded sourly. Good. She is entitled to the truth. Caleb's voice was suddenly begging. Please, Mason, I need your assistance. I have no other people. You. I chuckled incredulously. Are you serious? After all of your actions, Mason, Caleb said, you're my brother. Family's meant to stay together. Don't you dare pull the family card, I responded. You don't get to hide behind that after. What you did to Logan. Like a drowning man pleading for a life raft, Caleb gazed at me. Please. Without you, I am unable to resolve this. I felt nothing for Caleb for the first time in my life. No rage or hatred, just emptiness. He was no longer my brother. Day was. Just a man who had ruined every relationship he had ever had. I got up and said, Caleb, you need help, but it won't come from me. Caleb started to disagree, but before he could say anything more, I left later that night, Riley, Logan, and I convened at my place, and for once, no one was shocked when I told them all Caleb had confessed. He's always been like this, Logan. Said it just took him this long to fall apart. How about Mom? Should we tell her? Riley said after giving it some serious thought. I shook my head. No, she's made up her mind. Let her if she wants to think Caleb is flawless. We're done with him, though, alongside her. With everything, I had spent my entire life trying to keep this family together, but now I know that sometimes you have to let things fall apart. For the first time in years, I felt free. Neither Linda nor Caleb were my burden anymore. With a small smile on his lips, Logan turned to face Riley and me. You think we'll be all right? Yeah, I replied with a smile. We'll be all right. And I did believe it for once. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.